Revealed. I sacrificed $13,000 for my son's family, only to discover their shocking cruise secret. Sarah stood on the deck of the cruise ship, the salty breeze tousling her hair, her heart swelling with hope. She had sacrificed everything over the years, a single mom in her early 40s, tirelessly working as a waitress in a small Midwestern diner. She managed to save up $13,000 for this once-in-a-lifetime vacation. Today she would give her son Tom a taste of what a bright future could feel like, away from their modest home and endless bills. The ocean stretched before them, a vivid blue canvas of dreams yet to be painted. Tom's smile was bright and infectious, illuminating his youthful excitement as they boarded the ship. The laughter of families surrounded them. It felt as if joy was palpable in the air. Sarah thought of all the late-night shifts, the tips counted with weary fingers, the sacrifices she made to give him a better life. Here, she believed, was their chance to bond and create lasting memories. Would the shadows of long-standing struggles vanish beneath the sun's warm rays? But the warm, welcoming atmosphere quickly morphed into a storm of confusion when she discovered the hidden message on Tom's phone. She stumbled upon it by accident, a notification that shook her world. He was planning to meet his estranged father, the man who had walked out and left them with more than just physical emptiness. A whirlwind of emotions swept through Sarah. Betrayal, heartbreak, and fear for all the struggles she thought she had shielded Tom from. "Why would you do this, Tom?" Her voice cracked as they stood alone on the deck. She fought back tears, each droplet threatening to spill as she faced her son, the ocean crashing below like the chaos in her heart. "Didn't I give everything for you?" Tom shifted uncomfortably, his youthful facade crumbling. "I thought maybe I could understand why he left. I needed to know." His voice dipped, barely audible above the roar of the waves, caught between longing for answers and loyalty to his mother, and that moment, Sarah felt the weight of 1,000 heartaches. All the late nights spent worrying, the dreams deferred, the nights where she wished for something different, all of it threatened to drown her in sorrow. Her mind raced back to every sacrifice she made. "You were supposed to have a fresh start. I thought this trip would mend our broken pieces, not bring back old wounds." As the sunset painted the sky in soft oranges and purples, the tension hung heavy between them. Families laughed and shared moments of joy around them, while Sarah stood frozen in fear of losing her son to the ghosts of their past. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As the last rays of sunlight flickered over the horizon, Sarah faced Tom, wrestling with a decision that could either heal or further fracture them. "He hurt us, Tom. He left us with pain," she said, her voice firm yet trembling. "You don't have to do this." But within Tom's eyes lay a yearning for understanding, the bittersweet mix of love and anger intertwined. Their hearts beat against the backdrop of laughter and joy, but for Sarah the question lingered. Would she allow Tom the chance to explore this path, even if it might lead to heartbreak? The ocean continued its endless rhythm, matching the turmoil in her chest, leaving their future hanging in the balance, uncertain and charged with emotion. The air crackled with tension as Sarah pulled in a shaky breath. She wanted so desperately to protect Tom, to shelter him from the pain history had inflicted on them, but she could see it. A flicker of hope in his eyes, a yearning for closure. Her mind raced, weighing her instinctive desire to shield against her son's deep-rooted need for answers. "Tom," she said softly, stepping closer, "you don't know what he has been through, or what he will do if you meet him." Her voice was steady yet filled with concern. "He walked out on us. It wasn't just a bad choice. It was a choice that changed everything." "I know, Mom." Tom's reply was calm but lined with defiance. "But I can't live with the what-ifs. I keep thinking, what if he didn't mean to hurt us?" His words hung in the air, ripe with desperation. "What if he has changed?" Sarah shook her head, feeling her heart splinter with each passing moment. "People don't just change, Tom. Not when they walked away like he did." The ache in her chest pushed tears to her eyes, but she blinked them back, unwilling to let him see her vulnerability. Around them laughter rang out, children playing under the fading colors of sunset, families creating new memories. It felt achingly unfair here they were in paradise. Yet their world felt like a battlefield. Sarah turned her gaze towards the horizon, where the sun kissed the waves longing for clarity. Could bright skies ever wipe away the weight of past hurts? Maybe we should just enjoy this trip, she ventured, fighting the urge to scream. Forget about him for now. We'll have fun and you won't even have to think about it. Tom's brow furrowed. But what happens when we go back home? I can't just pretend he doesn't exist. That he didn't hurt us. He paused, vulnerability etched on his face. I need to know if he's even worth it. Like it matters who my dad is. Sarah's heart trembled at his words. I'm here, Tom. I'm the one who raised you and loved you. Maybe you don't need him. Tom's expression shifted, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. But I want to know. Why did you never talk about him? Why wasn't he part of my life? A wave of anger fueled by desperation surged within Sarah. Because Tom. Because it hurt too much. I wanted to protect you from his mistakes, from my mistakes. Her voice cracked, the truth spilling out uncontrollably. I wanted you to have a better father, one who cared, one who stayed. Tom's expression softened, yet he stood firm. You can't keep me from the truth forever, Mom. This trip was supposed to show me a different world. How can it be this if I'm stuck with this secret? As the words faded into the salty air, a silence enveloped them, one that seemed to engulf the whole ship. Sarah could feel the weight of the decision pressing heavily against her chest. Was she willing to let this journey take them down a path she dreaded? Her son was growing up, and she needed to think less like a protective mother, and more like a loving one. The ocean waves crashed against the ship's hull, their constant rhythm echoing the turmoil within her. Was she prepared to see her son step closer to a man who could potentially hurt him all over again? I can't lose you, Tom, she finally whispered, her tone softening. But I also can't hold you back. You deserve answers. Just then the ship's loudspeaker crackled to life, announcing an upcoming event. Join us for the night's festivities on the main deck. A surprise awaits. The cheerful tone starkly contrasted their emotional standoff. Tom glanced at her, a mix of excitement and determination in his eyes. Mom, what if we go just to see? We don't have to connect, but what if I just look? Sarah's heart raced as he stepped closer to the edge of the deck, looking out at the twinkling lights of the resort islands ahead. Tom, she started, but the words fell away, somehow caught in a tangle of worry and love. And then in that moment, she faced the choice that could redefine everything. Should she support him in this risky endeavor, or find a way to pull him back into the safety of her love? The cruise ship moved on, carrying them all forward, but Sarah felt a deep sense of uncertainty and fear looming like storm clouds overhead. What would they discover by pursuing this path? As Tom took a deep breath, staring at the twinkling lights ahead, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, would this decision lead to empowerment or destruction? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a light glow of orange and pink across the water, Sarah felt time stand still. There was tension in the air, an electric charge that made her skin prickly. Tom stood at the edge of the deck, his silhouette filled with both eagerness and trepidation. That thin line between hope and fear had become even more delicate. Mom, he called back to her, his voice thick with anticipation. What if tonight changes everything? Every fiber of Sarah's being wanted to pull him back from the ledge. She could feel the weight of her worries crushing down. What if he found his father? What if it shattered everything she had worked for? All the love and sacrifice she poured into raising him alone. She wanted to scream, to snatch away his freedom, but there was a part of her that admired his bravery. She stepped closer, casting a shadow beside him. Tom, you have to promise me that if you see him. Her voice faltered as she searched his eyes, trying to claw back the resolve she was losing. Just keep your guard up. I know he's your dad, but he's also a stranger. I will, he insisted, glancing back toward the bustling crowd preparing for the evening's festivities. I just need to see him, Mom. I need to know. What if he's not who I think he is? The crowds around them buzzed with excitement. Families mingled, couples swayed to soft music drifting through the ship. Sarah felt a sharp pang of loneliness amid all the laughter. Even here, surrounded by people, she felt isolated in her fears. But she had to trust her instincts, hadn't she? She had raised a good boy, and perhaps this was part of his journey toward manhood. With a heavy sigh, she cast her eyes toward the horizon, seeing the glittering lights of the other ships, welcoming the darkness that brought with it the promise of new beginnings and hidden truths. "Okay," she whispered, her words hanging in the night air like a fragile thread. "Let us just see." Tom's face broke into a grin that lit up his whole being. The mixture of hope, curiosity, and fear he wore was contagious. She couldn't help but smile back at him, using every ounce of strength to push her own fears aside. If only for tonight, they made their way to the main deck, which was alive with celebration. The atmosphere was intoxicating, filled with laughter, the scent of grilled food, and the thumping pulse of music. As they stepped into the crowd, Sarah felt the dichotomy of emotions swirling inside her, anxiety mixed with the joy and vitality of life. "Over there." Tom pointed in the direction of the stage where the cruise staff had gathered to host games and entertain guests. But Sarah's gaze drifted away from the festivities. It was inevitable. Eventually, they'd have to confront the truth that lay beyond the shimmer of lights. They shouldered through the throng, laughter all around them, but Sarah's heart beat loud in her ears. Every moment tightened her chest as they scanned the crowds, seeking a face she had hoped would remain buried in the past. "Mom, I think I see him." Tom's words jolted her back to reality, a mix of nerves and adrenaline sending waves of panic through her. He pointed towards the far end of the deck where a tall figure stood, conversing with a couple. As Sarah's eyes finally locked onto the man, a flood of emotions hit her like a tidal wave. It felt surreal. That face, those features so familiar yet so distant. It was like looking into a mirror that reflected everything she had once hid away. "Are you ready for this?" She forced herself to ask, but her own question felt hollow against the chaotic noise around them. Tom took a deep breath, one that seemed to ripple between them, carrying unspoken miles of history. "I have to be. But I want you beside me." With a soft nod, she took his hand in hers. Together, they stood on the precipice of a moment that could unravel everything they knew. In that split second of silence before stepping forward, Sarah's heart raced. Would this be the moment of empowerment Tom was longing for, or would it lead them deeper into destruction? And as they began to walk toward that man, his father, Sarah felt cold fear creeping back in. What truths were about to be revealed? Would this unexpected confrontation change the very fabric of their lives forever? Each step felt heavier than the last as they approached the figure in the crowd. Tom's grip tightened around Sarah's hand, his eyes captured by the stranger who reflected his own features. The laughter and music faded into the background, swallowed by the pounding of her heart in her throat. "Just remember," she whispered, "stay calm." Tom nodded, but the flutter of excitement danced in his eyes. Sarah wished she could share in his anticipation, but all she felt was an icy chill curling in her stomach. The man turned slightly, and even from a distance, she saw the lazy smile on his lips. It was a smile she had once known too well. "Is that?" Tom's voice faltered, a question hanging in the air like a loose thread. "Yes," Sarah managed to say. "That's him." As they moved closer, time seemed to stretch like taffy, each moment rich with possibility and peril. Tom's features morphed, a mix of nervous excitement and anxiety stark against the lively backdrop of the crowd. She could sense every emotion radiating from him, eagerness layered with uncertainty. He stepped forward, a hesitant approach that made her want to physically pull him back. But she couldn't. This was a part of his journey. "Dad?" The word slipped from Tom's lips, tentative and thick with the weight of years spent wondering. The man turned fully, and for a brief heartbeat, the world around them dissolved. It was just the three of them now. His vibrant blue eyes met Tom's, flashed with recognition and a flicker of something deeper. "Tom?" The man's voice was laced with disbelief as he took a step closer. For a moment, Sarah watched, motionless, as the distance between a father and son evaporated. A breath caught in her throat, heavy with loss and longing. All the memories of late nights spent comforting Tom after he had cried for the father he'd never known rushed in, a tide of emotions threatening to pull her under. Suddenly, the man opened his arms wide, his expression transforming into something that resembled joy. "I can't believe it," he exclaimed, ready to embrace Tom but stopped short, glancing back at Sarah, hesitation clouding his features. "Tom, wait," Sarah interjected, her voice sharper than intended as she checked the tidal wave of longing trying to crash onto her family. She stepped forward, pulling Tom back slightly with her hand at his shoulder. "What are you doing?" Tom glanced at her, confusion written across his face. Mom, he's my dad. I need to know him. He hasn't been here, Tom. She countered, her heart racing. You don't know anything about him. He left us. Dad, I just want to talk, Tom said, quiet intensity saturating his words. The man's smile faltered, shadows of regret flashing across his face. I know I've missed so much, but I want to make things right. Can we at least talk? Her eyes flicked between them, the pull of past and present crashing in her mind. Why had he come now? Was it guilt or genuine remorse? I can't let this happen. The words escaped her thoughts before she could reel them back in. The laughter and joy of the surrounding crowd felt distant now. It was as if an invisible wall had risen, separating them from the rest of the world. Mom, please. Tom's voice shook, desperation laying bare his heart. I need this. And as the air thickened with unspoken words, Sarah felt tears prickle at the corners of her eyes. This moment was alive and electric, charged with potential, but also fraught with hidden dangers. As she contemplated her next move, her heart felt like it might explode from the struggle of wanting to protect him, while also wanting to give him the freedom he craved. What if this was the moment they'd all been waiting for? Or could it doom everything she had built? Staring into the face of the man she once loved and the son she cherished more than anything, Sarah took a deep breath. Let us talk, she finally said, and immediately regretted it as the man's face lit up with hope. But was she making the biggest mistake of her life? As the three of them stood there, a web of questions and fears taking shape, she realized this was only the beginning of a truth neither of them were prepared for. What secrets lurked beneath the surface, hidden and waiting to surface? Tom took a hesitant step forward, his heart racing. The man who once was a mere silhouette in his memory stood before him, flesh and blood, greeting him with the same striking blue eyes that he had stared at in photos countless times. The weight of years' loss, grief, hope all pooled in the pit of his stomach. Sarah remained rooted, her breath quaking. She could hardly bear to watch as Tom inched closer, a part of her desperate to protect him from disappointment. What if this man wasn't he what they had imagined all these years? What if he left just as easily as he appeared? I can't believe it's you, Tom breathed, tears beginning to well. The giddiness of the moment felt electric, but Sarah knew better. I never stopped thinking about you, son, the man replied, his voice trembling with emotion. He reached out, but Sarah felt her heart constrict. The moment held sweetness, yet the potential for bitterness was palpable. Tom, Sarah's voice trembled as she stepped in, we should be careful here. Tom turned back, a flash of hurt crossing his features. But Mom, he wants to be here now. Can't you see that? Wanting to be here and staying here are two different things, she replied. Her heart raced. This was about more than just a reunion. It was about trust. I know I made mistakes, the man interjected, stepping closer as if eager to bridge the gap. But I've changed. I'm not the same person I was back then. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Sarah shot back, her voice rising in frustration. She felt the stares of passers-by, the curious eyes boring into her, judging this chaotic reunion. Maybe you could give him a chance, protested Tom, his voice wavering as he glanced at the man who was, to him, still a mystery. Tom, you don't understand. It's not just about you wanting a dad. It's about what you think is right, isn't it? He interrupted, his frustration spilling over. You've already made all the decisions for me, and now you want to dictate this too? Sarah's heart sank. This wasn't how it was supposed to go, but she was outnumbered, torn between Tomas's yearning and her protective instincts. I just don't want you hurt, she whispered, the words escaping in a rush. Tom's expression softened briefly, but quickly hardened again. I need to decide for myself. This is my life. Dad, he shifted his gaze to the man now, who stood anxiously waiting for Tom's acceptance. Let us start fresh. Let us talk, the man pleaded, his palms open, inviting, like he wanted to wrap Tom in a moment of safety. Sarah felt the world once again buckle beneath her feet. Talked about what? A thread of skepticism seeped into her words. About everything. About why I left and why I'm back, he replied, voice steady now, an undercurrent of sincerity evident in his tone. Tom looked back at Sarah. Uncertainty hanging in the air like a thick fog. Can't I at least hear him out? I need to understand. Do you really think it's that easy? she probed, emotions tangled within her. Tom shook his head, exasperation boiling over. It's not easy for me either, Mom. It's terrifying. In his eyes she saw the ocean of hope mixed with fear. She recognized that look, the one that mirrored his father's while also reflecting the child she raised, full of dreams. Was she really holding him back, torn between her instincts as a mother and his need for acceptance? Please let us just talk, Tom said. His voice low but so filled with longing that she felt the walls around her love begin to crash. Sarah held back tears, battling the urge to wrap him in her arms and keep him close forever. Fine. We can talk. But she knew that talking was only the beginning. What would they uncover? Would they uncover more love? Or deeper wounds? As they stood on that brink surrounded by vibrant life, she realized their lives were about to change in ways they couldn't even begin to comprehend. Just remember, she whispered to Tom as they turned towards the man, I'll always be here for you. And with that she took a deep breath, bracing herself for the unfolding storm. Would the truth bring them together or tear them apart forever? As the anticipation thickened, Sarah took a step forward, ready to face the unknown. But as they began their fragile conversation, shadows from the past loomed above, promising revelations that would shake their foundation to its core. What awaited them beneath those layers of time and silence? The air was thick with tension as they shifted closer together, three hearts pulsing with unspoken fear and hope. Tom's father wore an expression of earnestness that was hard to ignore, but Sarah remained doubtful, every instinct in her warning her to scrutinize this moment closely. So why did you leave? Tom asked, his voice a mix of curiosity and accusation, the younger man's need for answers pushing him forward. While Sarah felt the chill of vulnerability in his words, the father swallowed hard, his eyes flickering between Tom's eager gaze and Sarah's protective glare. I had my reasons. I thought I was doing the right thing at the time. I believed it was best for you both. Best for us? Or best for you? Sarah interjected, her voice sharper now. The words felt like a physical blow, all too familiar. They carried the weight of years spent nursing wounds that never fully healed. I was scared. He shot back, a hint of desperation creeping in. I believed leaving would shield you from the chaos of my life. The man clenched his fists, frustration churning in his expression. Chaos? You think walking out was chaos? Sarah's voice was laced with disbelief, the emotion swirling like a storm inside her. Do you know what it was like to have to pick up the pieces? To try and explain to Tom why you were gone? Mom, please, Tom said softly, his eyes darting between them, wrestling with the conflict between his past and this newfound connection. Let him talk. Sarah took a breath, forcing herself to stay calm. All right. But just know I'm not standing by while you rewrite history. The father nodded, visibly shaken. It took me a long time to come to terms with what I did. I spent years regretting the decision. I thought I was protecting you, he said, his tone softened by genuine remorse. But all I did was create a wound that wouldn't heal. A heavy silence settled around them. Sarah's heart was racing, and doubt clawed at her insides. Could he truly feel remorse? Or was this just an act, another layer to the man she had despised for so long? Tom was silent, his brow furrowed. So why come back now? He pressed, the child in him seeking the truth, the adult hoping for an answer that would justify everything he had longed for. "'Cause I've changed, son. I want to be a part of your life," the man said. "I want to make things right, or at least try. I've worked hard to be the man I should have been before. Trying feels a little late, doesn't it?" Sarah frowned, her heart torn. She could see Tom's yearning, the flickering light of acceptance flooding his features, but it clashed against her fierce protective instinct. Mom, Tom's voice cracked, a plea hidden within. What if he means it? Sarah shook her head. What if he doesn't? You're giving him everything when he's already taken so much. Tom stepped closer to his father, their connection palpable. You're not the only one who has been hurt, he said, his voice low but resolute. But don't you see? I deserve to know if there's a chance at healing. I can't let fear hold me back anymore. I want to know you. The emotional weight wrapped tightly around Sarah like a cold fog, understanding intertwining with panic. This was what Tom needed. She realized his own journey. But how could she let him? Life is too short to hide from mistakes, Tom's father added, grief lacing his voice. I just want a chance to show you that I've changed. Sarah bit her lip, torn. What if they opened this door only for it to slam shut again? Yet, watching Tom's hopeful eyes, she felt her own resolve crumbling. Promise me you won't hurt him again, she said, powerful words escaping her lips, mingling protective love with desperate plea. I swear, he replied fiercely, sincerity burning in his gaze. They stood there, suspended in a fragile moment, uncertain and raw. Tom's heart ignited with hope, but Sarah felt shadows stirring in the corners of her mind. Would Tom find the father he had always longed for? Or uncover the darkness that lay in the heart of his father, waiting to unravel them all? As they stood on the edge of new possibilities, uncertainties loomed large. A storm brewing on the horizon. What truths were hidden in the darkest corners of family history? Tom's father took a step closer, his eyes filled with a vulnerability that seemed almost foreign. Please just give me a chance, he said, voice quivering slightly. The world around them faded, the only sounds the rustling of leaves and the echo of their heartbeats. Sarah narrowed her eyes, uncertainty tightening her chest. A chance? After all these years, you think that's enough? You can't just waltz back in and expect things to change overnight, she said, her protective instincts surging. His demeanor softened further, as if he'd been waiting for this moment for a lifetime. I get it, Sarah. You've devoted your life to protecting Tom. I admire that. But he deserves to choose. We all do. Tom stood between them, caught in a storm. Mom, I need to see what this means for us. I can't just shut him out again. I've spent years wondering why. His voice trailed off, the weight of that question hanging in the air like an unspoken prayer. Every nerve in Sarah's body screamed to pull Tom back, to shield him from the hurt his father could still bring. But deep down she recognized something true in his words. A desire to know, to fill that void that had been gnawing at him since childhood. Okay, Sarah said, her voice shaky but firm. If we're doing this, it needs to be a conversation, not a performance. You listen and you're honest. No more excuses. Tom smiled, the smallest crack of light breaking through the uncertainty. Thank you, Mom, he whispered. Let us take it slow, his father added, nodding. I'll share everything you want to know. You need to understand why I made my choices. The sincerity in his voice clung to the air, almost palpable. They moved to the nearby park bench, the tension still echoing around them. Tom's eyes flicked back and forth, weighing the emotions swirling inside. Did you ever think about what I needed? Did you think I wanted this? He pressed, anger mingling with a reluctant hope. His father hesitated, the facade starting to crack under the weight of his son's words. I didn't realize how much I would hurt you. I thought I was protecting you both. But I see now I was only thinking of myself. For a heartbeat there was silence. Tom shifted his weight, the uncomfortable truth settling between them. How is saying you're sorry supposed to fix anything? You left us. You made a choice to walk away. I know, his father said, pain etched across his face. I can't change what happened, but I can change what happens now. I want to help you, Tom. I want to be there for all the moments I've missed. Tom's expression shifted from anger to confusion, his heart a battlefield. Hope and caution waged war within him. But how do I know it's real this time? Because I'm standing here, his father replied quietly. Because I've fought through my demons. And because you deserve more than what I gave you before. Sarah watched them, torn between her instincts to protect and the realization that perhaps this was Tom's moment. A chance to redefine his future. She felt the walls of her resolve crack further, but questions lingered. Was it really a new beginning? Tom inhaled deeply, eyes steady. If we're doing this, then we need to talk about everything, no more hiding, okay? Okay, his father whispered, as transparent as the wind. But beneath the surface, another storm was brewing. An unresolved truth loomed like a shadow, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Would it offer hope? Or would it threaten to tear them apart again? As they sat there, words spilling out, the echoes of an unseen history whispered for attention. Could they traverse these turbulent waters without drowning in the past? As the sun dipped lower, they all felt the weight of uncertainty, but also a flicker of hope. What secrets still lurked in the depths of their shared history? Tom's father looked at him, the intensity of the moment wrapping tightly around them. All right, he said, steadying his breath. Let us start with when I left. It wasn't just a decision. It felt like I was backed into a corner. Tom's brow furrowed. A corner? Is that what you call it? You chose to walk away, Dad. That S not being backed into anything. That was your choice. His anger flared, but beneath it was that familiar ache, a longing for understanding. I know it looks that way, his father replied, hands trembling slightly. But it was complicated. I was struggling. I had demons I didn't know how to face. Leaving felt like the only option to protect you both. I thought I'd be a burden. Did you ever ask what we wanted? Tom shot back, pain tinged with frustration. You left us. Mom worked 2 jobs while I sat confused, wondering what I did wrong. We didn't need saving from you, we needed you. Silence fell again. A few parkgoers strolled past, oblivious to the emotional storm brewing in this corner. Sarah's chest tightened as she watched the exchange, her heart breaking for both of them. Tom's father wiped a hand across his forehead, clearly struggling to hold onto his composure. Can I tell you something, Tom? Leaving was the hardest thing I ever did. Every day after I thought about you and your mother. And every day I wished I had the courage to reach out. Courage? Tom scoffed, shaking his head. You call leaving courage? You did the easy thing then, not the hard one. The air vibrated with tension. Tom could feel the pulsing beat of his heart against the silence, the need for answers overwhelming him. What were you so afraid of? That you wouldn't be enough? Or that we'd stop loving you? His father paused, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. I was afraid of being a failure. I thought if I stood here I'd just mess everything up more. Looking back I can see how wrong I was. Tom inhaled sharply, the vulnerability in his father's voice disarming him. The anger began to ebb, replaced by a flicker of understanding. You think being there for me means being perfect? You don't have to be anything but real, Dad. The words hung between them, freedom wrapped in acceptance. I wish I had learned that sooner, his father murmured, voice breaking. I want to be part of your life, Tom. I want to hear about your triumphs and failures, and I want to share mine. Tom's heart raced as he considered what this might mean. He wanted to believe in this moment, but deep down he was still guarded. This feels different. Feels real. But how can I trust that you won't just disappear again? His father leaned closer, voice earnest. Trust takes time. I realize that now. But I'll do everything I can to earn it. I'll meet you where you are. I won't make promises I can't keep. Okay, Tom's voice was barely above a whisper. Uncertainty still loomed, but for the first time in years, there was a flicker of hope. Could his father really change? Could they rebuild the years torn apart? A breeze rustled through the trees, each breath felt like a promise waiting to unfold. Sarah stepped toward them, her heart swelling with a fragile mix of relief and wariness. I know it's hard, but maybe this is the first step. Suddenly, Sarah's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. She glanced at the screen, a frown collecting on her features as she read the message. We need to talk. It's about your father. The air turned electric, leaving Tom and his father locked in each other's gaze. What next revelation awaited them? Would it pull them closer, or shatter their moment of fragile understanding? Tom's heart raced as he watched Sarah's expression shift. She read the message again, her frown deepening with each passing moment. What does it mean? He asked, a gnawing unease crawling up his spine. I don't know, but it sounds serious, she said, her voice low, barely above a whisper. Maybe it's about your dad's past. Tom exchanged a quick glance with his father. The emotion from their earlier conversation still hung heavy in the air, but now shadows of uncertainty pulled at the edges, threatening to unravel the small progress they just made. Do you want to see what it says? Sarah hesitated, the phone still in her hand. Tom's eyes darted back to his father, whose face had turned pale, a flicker of panic flashing in his gaze. Maybe it's best not to, his father started, but the words faltered, leaving a void filled with tension. No, we need to know, Tom insisted. If you're serious about being a part of my life again, we face this together. The determination in his own voice surprised him. He was clutching the thin thread of hope, unwilling to let anything change the course they had just begun. Okay, Sarah replied, handing over the phone. Tom took a deep breath, watching his father's expression, a mixture of dread and regret. He opened the message, his eyes scanning the text. The words felt heavy, each letter weighted with years of absence and unspoken truths. As he processed the information, confusion washed over him. The revelation was about money, a significant amount linked to a cruise they booked, and it seemed connected to issues his father had left behind when he walked away. $13,000. Tom repeated, incredulity seeping into his tone. What does this have to do with us? His father rubbed his face, trying to gather himself. I can explain. I had some investments that didn't pan out. I had taken money that was meant to help you and your mother. I thought a fresh start would be easier on all of us if I set you up for something better. That's not for you to decide. Tom shouted, frustration spilling over. He felt the weight of resentment rise again, pushing aside the flicker of hope he'd been nurturing. You took money from us to run away, and now what? A cruise? Feels like a betrayal. His father looked like he'd been struck. I didn't want to burden you with my choices. Burden? You think leaving was a relief? You disappeared, and you still think you know what's best for us. As they stood under the sprawling branches of the oak tree, Sarah stepped in cautiously. Maybe this is a chance to talk about everything. About your father, about the money, about how it all fits into what you need from each other now. Tom took a deep breath, trying to temper his emotions. While a part of him wanted to blow up, another part yearned for resolution. So what happens now? We just pretend this doesn't change everything? Tom, I can't fix the past, his father said earnestly, tears glistening in his eyes again. But I want to be here moving forward. The weight of the moment hung there, heavy as the air before a storm. Tom fought against the tide of emotions swirling inside him. He knew that trust was built in small increments, through discussions that challenged the heart. I don't know how to move forward. Not when this just adds another layer of hurt, Tom admitted, his voice shaky. Then let us talk, Sarah suggested, looking at both men, her concern palpable. Let us unpack this together. With that, Tom felt the tension release just a little. Maybe they could find a way through this, even if it felt daunting. But still, one question echoed in his mind: what else was lying beneath the surface of his father's past? What more hadn't been revealed? The unexpected tension lingered in the air, thick enough to taste. Tom glanced between his father and Sarah, each side pulling at him from different directions. So you kept money that should have been ours? He pressed, taking a step closer, demanding answers wrapped in hurt and disbelief. Yes, his father admitted, his voice strained. I was trying to set things right in a way that I thought would help. I thought that by making money I could show you I cared, even when I knew I was just running away from my responsibilities. The confession hung there, painfully raw. Sarah's heart raced. You think money equates to love? You think you can just waltz back with some cash and make everything okay? Her voice echoed the mother bear she had always been, fiercely protective of her son. Tom could feel a mix of emotions swirling inside him. It's not about the money, he shouted, finally letting the pent-up frustration break free. It's about you leaving. It's about all the birthdays I spent wondering why my dad just didn't want me. There was a crack in his voice that tugged at Sarah's heart, threatening to break down the walls they had painstakingly built over the years. I thought you'd be better off. I thought. His father halted, emotions rushing forward, choking his words. I thought distancing myself would ease the pain. But that was the worst decision of my life. Maybe you should have asked, Tom countered, feeling each word slice through the air. I didn't need you to disappear. I needed my dad. His father looked down, taking it all in. You're right. I was selfish. I was scared. I thought leaving would protect you from my mess. But I see now that it only created more chaos. Tears brimmed in Tom's eyes, a vulnerability surfacing he had buried for too long. It's been hard, you know? Mom's always been there, but there's a part of me that's filled with questions. It's like there's a missing piece in my heart, and I want to know who you are. The words pierced through Sarah's defenses too. She felt the swell of love for her son, and her heart ached for the little boy who just wanted answers. Tom, I know only too well what you've been through. She turned her gaze towards his father. But this is not a magical solution. It's a chance to start fresh, a risk. Then let us take that risk, Tom insisted, searching his father's gaze. I want to hear everything. If we're going to move forward, it needs to be real. All right, his father replied, the sincerity flooding his voice once again. I'll share everything, the whole truth, no more faking it. As they sat back down on the park bench, that dark cloud of uncertainty began to feel lighter, revealing glimmers of hope. Yet Sarah remained on guard. What depths would they dive into? Would the truth heal or deepen their wounds? Let us dive into the past, Tom said, strength lining his voice. Let us figure out why you left and what that means for us now. Okay, it all started with my own fears, his father began, pulling in a shaky breath. I'd lost my job, the bills were piling up, and I felt like I was failing as a man, as a father. I thought pulling away was somehow better than crumbling under pressure. A silence enveloped them, filled with the weight of regret and the hope of understanding. Tom, you have to understand, his father continued, I wasn't just scared of failing you. I was terrified of dragging you and your mom down with me. I had just lost my way, and I thought leaving would lighten the load. That's not how love works, Sarah interjected softly, her heart aching at the honesty laid bare. Love means facing the storms together, not running from them. Tom turned back to his father, searching his features for some semblance of recognition. So what about now? Are you serious about being here with us? Do you mean it? The sincerity rushing back onto his father's face felt like an unsteady heartbeat, a promise, both terrifying and hopeful. Yes, Tom. I want to show you I can be the man you needed, but I know it's going to take time. Then we'll see, Tom said, a fragile strength filling his words. But this is a two-way street. You have to be real with me just as I'll be real with you. Deal, his father replied, emotions glistening in his eyes. They locked gazes, an unspoken agreement hanging in the air, tied together by the past, present, and a hopeful tomorrow drifting close by. Tears fell down Sarah's cheeks as she watched the exchange. They were finally facing truths long buried, shadows retreating under the glow of vulnerability and love. As they shared laughter and tentative stories filled with pain and healing, an unexpected sense of peace settled over them. Here, in this moment, they had taken the first real step toward a future stitched together from threads of understanding. They didn't know where the road would lead, but they took comfort in knowing they wouldn't have to walk alone anymore, a family beginning anew against the backdrop of the sea's endless rhythm. Each wave whispering promises of hope as the sun set, leaving trails of orange and pink in the twilight sky. Sarah felt an inexplicable lightness wrap around her heart. Perhaps the storm had passed, and the dawn of a new journey lay just ahead. And now, it's your moment. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.